Yes, sir.
Let's do this.
Easy peasy, huh? That didn't take no fucking 15 minutes to get started. Yeah. So what's up, man? What's going on beneath the ink?
Hey, thanks for having me on this, man.
You don't even have no tattoos, huh?
I do.
Oh, you do?
I got
yeah.
Yeah.
Just that one. Oh, yeah.
I got it. Actually, I was talking to you about redoing the one down my back.
That's right.
So I got I got a long ass last name, so I did it in someone's living room.
Uh-huh.
And but it's
yeah.
I'm gonna redo it at some point, but I'm just of intense pain. So I was like, fuck
yeah,
that.
I do remember us talking about it. But yeah, no, but that's the thing, you know, like people ask me like, "This is about tattoos." I'm like, "No, you ain't gotta have no tattoos to be on here. You just gotta be real and speak, you know, tell it how it is. That's the only requisite for this shit right here."
No, I think it's cool.
So what's been going on, man? I know you've been. You want to get into? I remember we was talking about boy Quezzy, right? He's been saying he's been having a lot of influence lately, and
yeah.
What's going on with him? What's he all about?
Yeah, so Quaz, he's
Quasi.
Quasi's yeah, I learned a lot from Quasi. He's like another coach. Of course, you know, George Pratt that we talked about in the last podcast, got him from Rob Dyrdek. And then Quasi, and then there's another guy, Joseph. I got to connect you to him, but
yeah, I want to hear him too.
It's all about, you know, like Quasi is all about tapping into the subconscious mind and really getting in line with the universe, you know, like, so that's what I've been on like the past month. I mean, you guys know, like, I've been heavy in the subconscious mind for like damn years now. And, but I'm always like trying to figure out how to get to that next level.
Yeah.
And, you know, learning from Quasi, like the things he's talking about, like what you're doing right now is going to lead to different things. And it's like, that ties into the friends. It's going to tie into, you know, what we're talking about a few minutes ago was like the whole, like there's this whole thing of 369, right? Like there's this whole like 369 theory that I've been super heavy on, that ties into that, which is like, it's all like universal alignment. So, I mean, all these things are going to be not just like, not to get you to the next level, like in your, like your career or whatever it is you're doing, but like as a human being.
Yeah.
So
that's interesting you said it, because that's what I've been big on lately is like, I was just telling somebody like certain shit just don't feed me no more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Being so like money and business and career, like there's no amount of like, even if all those things are hidden and this and that, if the stuff in here and your alignment and all that and your real spirituality and just how you feel, and I think he speaks a lot about that, is about like what's your inner thoughts, your inner voice saying, even when you do stuff. Like you can still do the action, but if deep down, if you don't believe it, or if it's not coming from a genuine place or a genuine motivation or something that you really feeling, then it's not gonna land either. You know what I mean? It's not just the action. It gotta be the inner voices or whatever.
Exactly.
You know?
So like there's one part that I want to tap into, and I'm gonna if it's up to you. This is not a Quasi thing though. This is not a Quasi thing. This is me. It's the whole 369 theory.
Yeah.
Now let me explain this. So I've been on this for a minute, and it hit me. So a little over a year ago, last week was a year. On the 9th, February 9th, was a year. My uncle had passed away, and I went to his services. And when I was at the services, my other uncle, Ray, he's always been like a mentor of mine. Like growing up, he's always just kind of like made sure I was on the right path, right? He approached me. He's like, "Hey, Mark, you ever heard of the 369 theory?" And I said, "Oh shit, Uncle Ray, I shit you not." That morning, I was working on this design. It's on my website, but I put like everything that I do has to point up, right? So like the triangles, the eyes, you know, everything goes up. But I created this minimalist design, and I put a triangle with the eye in the middle, but under I put 369. I didn't even know why. It just felt right. So I was like, holy shit. I said, holy shit. So I was telling my Uncle Ray, I was like, you're not gonna believe this. I just made a design today, because I was like in the zone. After my uncle passed away, I was like, I just locked out, shut everything down, but I left my laptop on. So I didn't do shit for like days, but I was just designing. And I made that 369 design, and I was like, I'm not bullshitting you at all. I made this 369 design. And so the theory of 369, and this is why, so when we did the last podcast with Damien and Mac a few years ago, At that time, I was waking up every day at 5:55. That was my
Mm.
thing, waking up at 5:55 every day. Doesn't matter if it's fucking weekday, weekend, it's 5:55. But I realized that 9 is a universal number to everything. And this is where it gets trippy.
Mm.
So I started waking up, and this is before I even learned about 369. I started waking up at 5. So every day I wake up at 5:27 a.m. And the reason
527.
5:27,
Mm.
and I'm going to challenge you to this. This is what got me to this next level.
All right.
Monday to there's a weekday or weekend, the time is always consistent. 5:27 a.m. Because if you take the number 5, dot dot, that's you got 5, and the dots act as the multiplication, right? So you take 5, so you go 2 plus 7 is 9.
Mm-hmm.
9 times 5 is 45. 4 plus 5 is 9.
Mm.
So I wake up at 5:27. I do my quasi prayers and things in bed for 9 minutes. Then I'm out of bed at 5:36. 6 plus 3 is 9. 9 times 5 is 45. 4 plus 5 is 9. So I make sure everything I do is revolved around 9. So if let's look at the universe now. What's the circumference of the Earth?
I don't know.
It's a ball. It's 360.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
360 degrees. What's 3 plus 6?
Nah.
If you cut that in half, you cut that sphere in half, a circle in half, it's 180. What's 1 plus 8?
9.
Now, if you take a quarter of that, it equates to 9. So everything that we do in life equates to the number 9. If you Google how many minutes are in a day, and you add all the numbers up, it equates to 9.
Wow, that's crazy. So it's like a real numerology, like science. So what do you think is that? Like, what do you think is actually like working at work right there? You know what I mean?
I
Besides,
vibrate. Because
yeah.
it's a vibrational thing. So if we think about it from an atomic level, like we have to go very atomic. This might go over a lot of people's heads, and a lot of people that don't understand this, they were like, damn, this guy thinks deep. And I've been told I think very fucking deep, but then the thing is that but the outcome, what I produce in life, the results speak for itself.
Yeah.
So if you look at it from an atomic level, right, as human beings, I'm not a Bible pusher by any means, but whatever it is, if you believe in God, if you're Muslim, Hindu, whatever, it doesn't matter. There has to be a higher power. Like we didn't just exist in this big ass space called space or the universe, right? Like something has brought us here, and it has to do from a cellular level. So if you look at it from an atomic level, at a really, really, really refined cells, like we were one cell at one point, then we accumulated collectively with multiple cells, and then we formed what we are as beings. So me and you in this present moment, we're just a big ass ball of cells that are vibrating. And no human can deny this, because when you go outside and you're like, fuck, I have bad vibes. Where you're picking up energy from somewhere.
Yeah.
Right?
I hella believe that, bro, because you really do attract like what you're going through in that time, that life, or what you're thinking about. Because when I'm on a certain vibe, it's almost scary how I attract people, and then I start talking, and then they're going through the same thing. It's like, wow, that's where you get the whatever. It's misery loves company, or even if you're on some positive shit, doors just start opening.
Exactly.
I don't care like that. I really believe that.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So this is just a way of another like confirmation or affirming like that. Basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So to your point of that, right? So like, let's say we're just balls of energy. That's all we are as human beings. Now, you're gonna attract, like you said, positive, right? Like, if you go out, like, you're gonna attract. If you're on that positive wavelength, you're gonna attract positivity. And what ends up happening is, like, if we are this big ball, like anytime you have negativity, it's like you're subtracting from that and you're depleting. So that's why it's very key. It's like it's imperative. Like, you always try to stay consistent with, like, just stay in tap with the universe. And how do you do that is through the methods that Quasi talks about. It's you gotta see yourself, because people always like, fuck, Mark, like, I'm doing this, but I end up, like, I don't see progress, or I end up back in the bottom. Because I'm like, you haven't, like, people will like, hey, Mark, like, we haven't talked and I'm a changed person. I'm like, did you really change? You know what I mean? Because everybody says they changed, but then like you might have lost some weight. You might think you changed because like you're telling yourself you're saying, oh, I changed, right? But did you really change? Did you become that? Like, did you tap into that?
Yeah, do you really believe it?
Yeah,
like in the end, that's what I'm saying. The inner talk. Have you ever been around somebody that lost a lot of weight? Like I have. I've been around women. I just try to like put these things into like real world terms, right? But I've been around a woman that like, let's just say she lost weight, or let's just say she got a surgery.
Yeah.
But her mental
it's still the
that.
same.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Not to be talking shit, but you know, we got like fat girl complexes or whatever. But even though she ain't big no more, I see her. She's still susceptible to those little ticks that like maybe a big, maybe not attractive woman might have. Exactly. Even though on the outside you're like, damn, she's bad, she's thick, but she's still very. We see it all the time. I just try to like apply it to like people that be like, oh yeah, you're right, like so people can kind of like relate. You know what I mean?
I hear that shit all the time.
That kind of stuff.
It's the same thing. People are like, oh, I changed. I'm a different person. We got to get together now. But I'm like, but then internally when I see those people, I'm like, my energy doesn't feel right. You know what I mean? So that tells me they didn't fully change. And like, you can't just wake up one day and say, I'm a changed person. Like you have to really, and that taps back into like the whole universal alignment. Like you have to like really tap into the universe.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying, again, it's not go to church. For me, I highly believe in Theory 369. Like everything I do taps into number 9. For example, like my whole Mark 9:23. It is a Bible quote, but that's something that's like a part of like my personal brand. But that equates to number 9. My daughter was born on December 18th. 1 + 8 is 9. It's not like I planned it that way. She was born on the 8th. My life path number is number 7. My wife's life path number is number 2. 7 + 2 is 9. My wedding was on August 1st. 8/1/9. So everything in my life has equates number 9. And this is years ago before I even knew about Theory 369. I had no clue. But from
it's kind of almost like it's embedded in.
It's embedded. Like I was born in. I have a great friend. She's an author. Lives down in New Mexico. Her name is Haven. And she put me on this thing called Human Design. So I don't know if you ever looked into Human Design.
That's a book, right? Too.
No, it's like so. Human Design. What Haven told me was like, if the location you're born, the time you're born, down to the very second, it not predicts, but it aligns you with a certain aspect of the universe, and it pretty much tells you what you're going to do in life. So we were talking about that, and so like that's ultimately like, besides next people ask me like dude, like how do you accomplish like this like, or like how do you think, like, you know, like where did you learn this shit from? A part of it, like I said, the whole Theory of 369 is I don't know. Like from a long ass time ago, I just always knew like I was gonna do something, like something was gonna work out. But I came through a struggle. My parents divorced when I was like 3 years old. My mom left. My dad raised my brother and I, and then, you know, had other siblings. But I just always knew, like, even though I was living in a struggle, like shit was rough, I just always knew like something's gonna come about. And throughout life, like my auntie, I saw her last week at my uncle's 1-year death anniversary. She's like, Mark, you're just a different dude. Like your whole life, you've always been like the kid that's like, why is the sky blue? How deep's that water? Always questioning things, but because I just knew like something was just there. You know what I mean?
Do you think that I watched some stuff about it, and it made a lot of sense? Like even just that right there, like that notion of like always want to know, always want to, you know, very just inquisitive about certain things. Like I don't think that's a universal thing. Like I don't think a lot of like, I was talking about this with somebody else the other day, and we were just saying like, I was like, bro, like even the shit that we would talk about, like the things that we pull out of situations, the concepts and all that. I wonder what it takes, or like when is a person's particular moment when they even start thinking that, if they ever start thinking certain ways, you know what I mean? Like, or some people just, you know, obviously not everybody could be on this, because, you know, then everybody, you know, there has to be some sort of like hierarchies or whatever in society or whatever. But I just always wondered about that. Like sometimes I come across people and I'm like, man, you can talk to your blue in the face. Even with some of this episode, like even if they hear this, I'm like, man, what the fuck? I ain't got time. It's, do you think they lost the curiousness when they were young at a certain time? Where do you think that comes from?
Yeah, I think a lot of people in the world are running around like I think they're just implanted in the world,
Yeah.
but they have no clue what their purpose is as a
Mm-hmm.
human. So they're just kind of running around wild, and they won't. That's why they won't That's why they won't understand what I'm. They may not. They might come across as like, nah, this is some off the wall type shit,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Might as well
But
be talking about aliens, that kind of
yeah, it
thing.
might as
Like,
well.
you
But
know what I mean? That
but
kind of
without a
stuff.
doubt, if people were to step back, you go on YouTube, Theory 369. Tell me why does those videos have millions of views and people that can understand it have all achieved some sort of it's not success like monetary success. It could be like success in like their career, success in family, success overcoming a certain obstacle in their life, right? Like, but again, we are here. We didn't just fucking exist. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
something put us here on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at it from like a whatever angle you look at it, like, bro, like the like the sound that human beings resonate on the most is that 432 Hz or hertz.
Mm-hmm.
432, that's number 9.
Damn, yeah. So
Like the
everything
voice
is.
of God, like the quote unquote voice of God, like the sound of God, it equates to number 9. Like everything, and it's not God. Like again, it's not the Bible. It's not Jesus. Like it's the
Yeah.
universe. Like
Yeah.
I think of God like God and universe is like it's same level.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's that the human like what our frequency that our ears are in tune with, both equate to number 9.
Wow.
And
Yeah, I do believe that. I believe like even how we was talking about in there before, like the awareness or like that little voice that you listen
yes,
to, and
yeah,
it's because we had I had brought up like, man, like I feel like everybody has that. It's just a matter if you're gonna listen to it or not. You know what I mean?
exactly.
You you explain it in different ways. A little angel on one corner, like devil, whatever. Like
Yep.
even when we do fucked up shit or mean shit, we're not just like oblivious to what we're doing. We're like, oh man, I can't believe that happened. Nah, like you knew at some point to some degree what you were gonna do before because you had a feeling like, bro, you shouldn't do that.
Yep.
Whatever whatever that voice is, and it's like that's what we're talking about was like the more I feel like you listen to it, because you can even feel it in your gut. You know which one you're listening to. If you're listening to the one telling you to do the bad thing or the good thing, or the unproductive thing or the productive thing or whatever it is, we know we feel it. You know what I mean? And that how many times you hear people say like, "Fuck, I knew I shouldn't have did that," or "I knew I shouldn't have went to that party," or "Man, I should be doing this. I don't know why I keep doing it." You know what I mean? You literally like I guess just listen to that voice. And when we were saying, like, I feel like for a minute, I stopped listening to that. You start getting all in your head, like, I can do this, I can work hard, I can figure this out. I. When remember we were saying that balance. Talk a little bit about that, like the balance of like yeah, not trying so hard and things like coming into fruition for you.
Yeah. So I think like that's like a key thing from Quasi, right? He put in a perfect example is people look at things and life is just a balance. Yeah. Like if you try too hard, and that's one thing I've noticed, like every time, and again, this comes through the attraction of being human, like who I attract. Like you're going to attract the people that are supposed to fit into your life. And then when you try to force it, like those people are going to attract, but they're going to bounce off. And then eventually, then you're going to have the negative people that are just going to try to pull those cells, like those positive energy or cellulars out of you to bring you to like a negative space. But to that point, for example, I remember, several years ago, I was introduced to these group of guys, and like, it was like the exotic cars and all this shit, right? So it was like, great, what it is, whatever. And then it's like I was trying too hard, and it wasn't just with that, but I noticed I was trying too hard to achieve financial results with other projects or other businesses. I was like always trying to I looked at it from like a financial standpoint. So every time I was trying, I'm like, fuck, I'm trying so hard, but I'm not getting the results. But then once I said fuck it and I pulled back and didn't care, then that's when I started getting these wins. So to the point of Quasi, what Quasi says is like, okay, if you lay down a piece of wood on the floor, like let's say you lay down like a tightrope on the floor, you could walk across it easily. But then if you put that piece of rope from like skyscraper to skyscraper, that same rope now becomes a challenge because now you're trying too hard to focus to make it work. You're not naturally letting it work.
Yeah.
So then the law of the universe is everything's on balance. So it sounds fucked up, but it's
Yeah.
gonna pull you down.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. For sure.
you have to just be, you
I
gotta
really
be in
like
balance.
too, like that reminds me of the other part he was saying was like the clarity part. I think he even starts with that. Like if you actually reach out to him and you build with him or whatever, he starts with, and I think that part is so important because if you're not super clear on what you want and what you're doing,
Exactly.
and I feel like a lot of times, like we might even think we want. You hear little sayings like God's gonna give you what you need, not what you want or whatever. Because I think we always get in a mode of like, well, this person's doing this. I like how their lifestyle is, and that'd be cool to do this, so I'm gonna do that. You're not genuinely, you're not super clear on it. You're just almost like copying an outcome. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like shit don't work either. Because then somebody will do, well, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, but you're not doing it in a genuine way, and you know it deep down. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? You're almost like, but I want to try. You know, you ain't supposed to, whatever. You know, you ain't supposed to go on this ride or whatever. But you just like a little kid, like I just want to see how it feels. So let me write my, my vision board, my affirmations, this and that. But then deep down, you still know that you don't really want to do those things. You know what I mean?
And-
You're just doing them to try to fit a mold or whatever.
Yeah.
However that's viewed in the society is like, oh, I think that's supposed to be my plan. But deep down, you always got that little voice. And I think sometimes we
Yeah.
almost say like, man, shut up, voice. Let me get my money. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Knowing damn well you want to get fed in different ways, and you probably even have that idea, but you done convince yourself that maybe that idea won't make as much money, or who people are gonna think I'm a square for it, or that I don't, whatever, all these little judgments. And remember, he was talking about too, like how you judge yourself inside.
Yep.
And then once you start doing that, then you start doubting and doing all that, and
Exactly.
then you're kind of fucked after that. But yeah, I don't know. That's very interesting.
Like there's a lot to it, like
Yeah.
it's a very, and people think that praying is enough. Like they're like, I don't know what's wrong. I've been praying for this. I've been praying for this. I've been praying for this. But like, praying is great, but there has to be action with the prayer. You can't just sit on your ass. Like you can't just pray and just be like, okay, let me go and just be me and just watch TV all day. There has to be action that goes with the prayer.
Yeah, yeah.
And then another problem that I see, and I did this as well. Like I was too goal focused. Like you can't just don't focus on the goal. You got to focus on the small steps along the way. Because too many people are like, fuck, I think they just envision the end goal. Like they think they're at A and they just Z. It's like, no, you gotta sit back, visualize the process, like visualize, okay, how do I get from A to B? Then once you get to B, visualize going from B to C, and then and so forth. But even before you start that visualization process, like we talked about a few minutes ago, is like you can't even start in that path. Like you got to clear your mind of being your old self.
Yeah, yeah.
Like the consciousness that got you to today is not going to work forward. So if shit is not working for you right now, if you use that same level of consciousness to get you to the next level, it's not going to work. Like, it's not. You got to dump it. And you got to center yourself. And how you center yourself, that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, yeah. And what do you think keeps people in that loop of like trying to address it with that same consciousness? You think it's like the ego? Do you think it's like I just got to keep trying?
That's it.
In due time, it'll come. This and that. Those kind of things.
I think people don't know,
and
they don't know because they haven't taken the time to like really understand how this works. When I say this, I'm talking about like universal alignment. I'm talking about like this ties into 369. This talks into like getting aligned with the higher being, like the higher self. It's all, it comes from within. But if that's up, I can't tell people like, I can't force that upon anybody, and neither can you or anybody else. It's like, and let me sidestep this now. Like I'm going to talk about some social media stuff here because now we're going to go into this direction. This ties into your beliefs too. Like when I look at maybe if this goes, if the whole if our previous topic goes over people's heads, like this will grab some attention right here when we talk about social media because this is something that everybody can relate to. Now, it goes into like what people don't know. I think, you know, like a lot of people are just here, they're just living. They're just like going about their ways. Every day they wake up, they just let the world push them in different angles.
Yeah, they almost look at what's the masses doing. Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, you know
Like
what I mean?
that's
Like,
it.
give
They
me some
keep up with the
guidance.
trends, or there's like fuck it. Like life just pushes them around
Yeah,
because they don't take the step back to fully analyze my life purpose. You could do that through an ikigai. You could design your own life path. There's things that you can look into your life path number to figure. Like, there's different things you can do, but most people don't want to do that because the first thing they do. And now let me ask you a question. And this is something that is going to resonate with a lot of people. We live in the Bay.
yeah,
We have one of the highest traffic rates in the U.S. Do you like sitting in traffic?
nah,
Do you
hell no.
think any person likes sitting in traffic?
Mm-mm.
No, right?
No,
People don't like traffic. They fucking hate traffic, and they'll complain about how they sat in traffic for 2 hours.
but
But
they'll
people
do
love,
it. They'll
but
keep doing
no,
it.
people love traffic, and I'll tell you why they love traffic. Because the first thing they do when they wake up in the morning is they grab their phone and they start scrolling on Instagram. So what are they
That's
doing?
traffic. Yeah,
They're causing mental traffic.
yeah.
So they're seeing shit that they don't want to see,
Mm-hmm.
and then when they leave the house, their whole day is fucked because they're leaving on a bad note.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? It's
yeah,
like, and that's what people want. Like people want the easy path. Like people think like they don't want to they don't want to accept, like they don't ever step back and look at like why is shit fuck? Like why is my life rough? Like why is the world the way it is?
yeah.
Nobody.
That's so interesting. Like, even I love your analogies. Be hell, like, it like really paints the picture for me. Like, even that, like waking up and looking at social media. That's how I feel when I look at social media. It's like just so much going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Even if it's not like negative shit, it's this is how to post. Got to get more engagement. This is how to post.
exactly.
AI this
Exactly.
and that. It's just so much. And
Yep.
again, I don't like physical traffic in real life, and I definitely don't like that traffic. And that's why I was telling you before we got on here. I was like, bro, I feel like I feel like I'm missing something. I'm
Yeah.
not playing this game right. It shouldn't be this trafficky. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yep.
I'm just getting people like all this soliciting and do this way, that way. This is how you win in Instagram. This is how you do that. And it makes you want to get out the car, you know, metaphorically and basically in real life. It makes me want to like delete it, you know what I mean?
Yep.
But I have to always get pulled back in because you still got to get in that car and drive to work. And
Exactly.
this is how happened to be on the freeway that we have to use, aka social media.
Yep.
So I'm just like, I guess what you were explaining a little bit before is like a couple of guys you're gonna put me in line with is like, I guess helping me look at it as like almost like getting an express lane sticker or something. You know what I mean? Like you can still get on that road, but you don't have to be in traffic like that. Like be more intentional, learn the rules of the road, so to speak. You know what I mean?
And that's why when I wake up in the morning, like there's days I don't even look at Instagram.
Yeah.
Every day I get up, like I said, I'm up. My routine's 5:27. My eyes are awake at 5:27.
Mm-hmm.
9 minutes on prayer. 5:36 I'm up.
I'm gonna need
Glass
you to write me that down
glass
so
of
I can do
water.
it. Yeah.
Meditate. Then shower. Get ready. Family time, and then I get start my day. Um, but like I don't look at social media like I don't look at Instagram sometimes for days. Sometimes like if I do look at it, it's like I'll get to it like at 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's
Mm-hmm.
not priority because at night before I go to bed every night I plan my next day. So it's like I'm mapping my
Mm.
map. So in the morning, because I already know like if I wake up and I look at Instagram, like
That's gonna map your day.
that's traffic.
Yeah.
So I have my map to get me through that. Like I don't see the cars on the road. I just know like I'm up, boom, and I'm getting from A to Z a lot
Mm-hmm.
quicker while everybody else is like rubbernecking it, like oh shit, looking around,
Yeah.
hence looking at Instagram. I mean the shit that people see on like if they see like a video of my daughter or like Girl Scout stuff, that's pretty
Mm-hmm.
much my wife. Like she's like, hey, can I post this?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, go ahead, but I'm like, like so pretty much like my wife manages a lot of my Instagram stuff for me. Like,
Yeah, so that's what I was gonna ask you,
yeah,
because like for anybody at home, especially entrepreneurs, because I know a lot of cats, whatever it's tattoos, barber, any trade,
hmm
especially I think it's like an age thing too. Like some people they like that traffic. They're like, fuck, I love traffic. Even whether it's funny shit, I want to whatever it is. But some people, I think today we feel forced, like I say, forced to play that game. So how do
we do.
you What's your recommendation for like somebody that like is an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
relies on the eyes on social media
Yeah.
for their business?
Right.
How do you play that game and not get sucked into the traffic? You know?
I think to your question, all right, so to answer that, now you're right. Now there's people out there that they need Instagram for it's their business.
Yeah.
It's the tool. So Instagram really is a tool. Social media is supposed to be a tool.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it became a secondary life. It's like a secondary digital world.
It's almost like the real. It's like the first world.
It's like the first world in the sense.
Real world
It
don't
is.
even
It's
matter
fucking
no
crazy,
more.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
So people that need it for business is great. Like go ahead because you gotta look at your messages, see if you have a client, see if you have a call. I see that, but at the same time, you have to be mindful of not burning those additional hours. Like if you're looking at your messages, look at the messages, but then close it out and then go work on your inner being, work on yourself. Don't get so caught up in like scrolling. And I'm not perfect. There's times like I'll look because I have a friend that sends me funny shit all the time.
Yeah.
And I'll look at it and then like next thing you know, it's like, oh shit, like what else is there?
Yeah.
But so
that's what I get caught up in too. Because sometimes I'll try to be like, man, you gotta laugh, bro. You can't,
exactly.
like I said before, like you can't be like too, okay, I gotta do it productive because then what I was telling him earlier, I was like, I'll do that and then I'll be like, man, I just need to shut off. And my shut off is like a bunch of toxic bullshit, right? So what do? You just set up parameters like, okay, I know if I go on here, I'm checking this, and then I get off like little.
Yeah. So my Instagram set it for 15 minutes a day, 15 minutes max. I set a timer. Like I only allow myself 15 minutes a day.
Oh, you can do that.
Yeah.
So and what does it do? It just disables itself.
Yeah, and then I have the ability to like add. This is add an extra minute. I'm like, no.
Wow.
You gotta be.
So, you gotta show me how to do that.
So it forces me to become disciplined, hyper disciplined.
Legit drug addicts, bro. We gotta do shit like that.
So
but that's real.
But it's helped. And like again, but even without that, like I already became disciplined to the point I don't even, like I said, I don't look at Instagram until like later on in the day.
Yeah.
I don't. I don't grab it first thing in the morning. I don't look at any social media because I've just been so disciplined on the same path every single day. And like social media does have its benefits. I talk to some interesting people there, but again, most people use it for the wrong things. Like talking, like now if we take a step back, now we go back to the universe or God level. Most people on social media prefer likes over God. And I'll clarify how and why that is. Now, what I do, and what most people, like unless you're like a really close friend or like my wife, most people don't know, like my daughter, she has allergies to mosquitoes, right? So she got a bug bite on her head, but it fucking swelled up her face. So she had to go get a CT scan. About a year ago, I think I told you I was wearing like a heart monitor because like I was like always stressed out and I had to wear that shit twice. And then they had to scan my heart. I had to go do a running test. But when I went through when I was going through these things, one thing I never did was I never once posted, pray for my daughter, she's in the hospital. Pray for me, I'm going through some shit. Pray for me, my uncle passed away. What I did was I went and sat in the dark room and I pray, just like I do every single day. I sit in the dark room and I pray. Most people, when some shit happens to them, take a picture of their sick kid. Please pray for my kid, they're sick. Please pray for somebody, they're in the hospital. They will go do that before they even pray. It's like and they'll say, pray for my daughter. It's like, no, you don't want the prayers, you want the attention.
Yeah, they won't even say prayers sometimes. They'll just like post pictures. They'll even like be all messed up and I'm staying strong, y'all. It is. Yeah, it's like a martyr type of mentality.
I'm like, you guys don't want the prayer, you want the attention. Yeah. And I'm like, and you think about it from that perspective, it's like, okay, you look at your friends list. If you have 500 friends, 1,000 friends, 10 of those people that truly care are really going to pray for you, but you have their phone number. Other people are going to look, maybe at most send you the praying emoji hands and the scroll. They're not going to stop and be like, oh, God, pray for Mark. He's going through some health issues. No, you know what I mean? Unless they really like love me and like they're like my true family or friends, and they'll really pray for me. But when I see that shit, I'm like, I never like those posts. Right? Anytime someone says like, oh, here they take a picture of their kid laying in like in the hospital bed, I'm like, you have to understand. There's like, bro, like there's that's an intimate thing for your family. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I always get weirded out by that stuff too.
do you really want the prayer from God, or do you just want the attention? So I think more people want the likes. Like there's statistics, like more people people don't want money. They want likes over money, which is fucking mind blowing.
Yeah.
It's so crazy how people want like. So I'm like, you know, it's just the weirdest thing. But
so how would you like, for that person that needs it to do it? Would you just like try to like oh, let me ask you this:
Yeah.
what do you think about like the AI movement and like delegating a lot of the tasks to like off to AI?
I'm a big AI.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
actually that's the next
yeah.
the next project
That's
I'm
you
building
talk
is gonna
about
be
some
AI.
tools, but that's a big tool right there.
Yeah. So AI can be beneficial. It could go against. It depends on what you're using it for. Right.
Yeah.
What I'm using it for is for my next project. It's gonna be pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, for me and my business, because again, like my relationship with social media is just like, oh man, I gotta play this game. You know, and which is crazy is because being a creative person, you would almost think like that would be like, oh man, this is like my playground. Like I get to come up with all these cool videos and that. But I struggle with the fact that like it's a obligation. Like you have to do it. It's not even a question. I laugh at myself because I was like, I bet you if it wasn't such a big like mandatory thing to do, I probably would have a lot of fun doing it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I kind of try to tap into that. Man, just have fun with it and do it your way. And that's where you get things like this show that I'm doing. It's like I can't get on there and be acting and doing this and to show my tattoo. I'm doing a bunch of hands and transitions. It just seems ingenuous. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to find ways to like play the game, but kind of like play it in my way. You know. Yeah. And then even as far as like with the AI, that's why I brought it up because like even um, I'm sure people already know because they probably like you didn't write that shit, but like even like the descriptions for my pictures and shit, like it's not that I don't like think of not like I can't write or nothing like that. It's like the time it takes for me to be like, let me what hashtag would be this. I got in so much. I was like, this. I'm taking longer to do this post than most of the tattoo took. Like it wasn't efficient. So then I was like, well, if the world is on this in this fake world of like smoke and mirrors and filters and AI and this and that, then I'm gonna fucking use this AI to play the game. So I have the AI write my descriptions. You know what I mean? Just like I have AI cut out all these little clips and has words going across. Like so, I'm using it as a tool in that sense. But what do you think that's okay? I don't know. I think some may view that as like ingenuous, or no. Maybe I'm thinking too deep in it.
How is that like? No, I think what you're doing is the right thing. Like if anybody think it's like not the right thing, it's like what I would say is like, look at your picture using a filter.
Yeah,
you don't even look. You don't even look like that. You know what I mean?
So nothing's real. Don't be talking about my
So I would rather use a tool that's going to help just project what I'm saying, rather than putting a filter on my face that then I'm going to go on public and like I look nothing like you would see on that picture. You know what I mean? So it's like, and that's a whole like this podcast, this conversation right now would be like a 10-hour podcast if I was to dive that deep into like that realm. You know what I mean? Because like the social media aspect right now, like. I mean, everything essentially is tying into, like we're talking about the other day on the phone briefly, was like the mental health side. You know, like social media that's where it fucking takes people out, really. It's like when you don't know how to use it correctly.
Yeah.
You'll see shit that you don't want to see. And like the traffic, that's the traffic that we just talked about. But then that's like, that can get to people like, you know, that could really fuck with people mentally. You know, like
I see people using it, like you said, as a tool, but I see people using it in wrong ways. Like they'll post like some crazy, like violent, like very, was it clickbaity type shit?
Yeah.
But then it's really for this product that has nothing to do with this video. Like they're like going to extremes just to get that attention.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I think all of that is to get all the way back to the whole alignment stuff we were talking about.
Yeah.
I think when you're doing stuff like that, it's eventually gonna blow up in your face.
For
you
sure.
know what I mean? Because you're not aligned. It's not coming from a real, you know, genuine motivation. You're like trying to like, you know, you just want to win like physically with the physical money or whatever. But deep down, the people that are doing that deep down, whether it's like they feel like they were forced to do it because that's just the game. They feel like that was the game they needed to play or whatever. But eventually they're gonna be like, you know what? I'm eating at my soul. Like I know I'm going against that voice that's telling me No, just post good content or just promote your product because it's a good product. That voice is gonna eventually like eat at them. You know what I mean?
I
I think.
think, for you, it's different. I think for you, like if it's me, I have a, with someone with a brand, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
if you have a brand, I think it's important that you use social media because you have, you're promoting the podcast, you're promoting your tattoo work.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking like the regular people though that don't have like a brand to promote, like
Mm-hmm.
that's where it gets a little rocky. Like in my
Yeah.
case, I have my personal Instagram, but then I have the brand Instagram, so it's like okay, I can use it for that. So there's different like it's just a whole it's just a deep deep thing, and I think
Yeah.
for the most part it goes over most people's heads. You have
Yeah.
to be very very aware, like
Yeah.
what's otherwise even what we're talking about now, it's gonna go over their head.
Yeah. And it's and that awareness I think is very hard to get when you're like all in the smoke and you're well whatever weekend warrior, you're doing this or
Oh
you're just
fuck.
scrolling. It's impossible. That's why you hear people, man. I've had a few people, they were just telling me like, oh, I just went on a Instagram detox or whatever, this and that. Oh, and I was like, how was it? Oh, it was amazing, this and that. It's because now you could really see what's going on. You really are feeling, you really looking at shit and taking things in and
Yeah,
looking, whatever it is, nature, you're really talking to people. You're not all like this. So
exactly.
it's like I said, it's very hard to to grasp even these concepts when because it's a totally different language. Like even us talking face to face is so different than writing in a DM or texting and all of
Exactly.
that. It's just a different language.
That's one thing that I had to like control with my wife is like, and she got really good because like there's times I'm like we're out like when we're having dinner at home, we have no phone. We go to
Mm-hmm.
a restaurant, we have no phone. Like we put it away. We focus on each other, focus on our daughter. But there, in the past, it's like it fucking bugs me a lot. Like when I'm with people and like we're at a restaurant
Mm-hmm.
and I'm about to eat, like wait, let me take a picture of that. I'm
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
like for what?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
nobody gives a shit. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like nobody cares.
yeah.
Like what are we doing? Like why can't we just enjoy ourselves and like let's just be present. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
being present today is very hard for people. And to your point, like the weekend warriors,
Yeah.
Instagram, and I always use Instagram because in my opinion it's the
The
highest,
most,
it's the
yeah.
most used platform besides TikTok now. I don't use TikTok, like fuck that.
Mm-hmm.
But I know like there's people that are on Instagram that I mean it's like a double life. It's like
Yeah.
throughout the week, it's like they're probably fucking delivering bread, but like what they post is like they're balling out. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So I'm like,
yeah. Oh,
how the fuck is this?
that's
Like,
what I'm saying. The
like
Instagram world, that's the real world. It really doesn't even matter almost in real life no more. Like,
yeah,
especially the younger generation. Like, I've been across so many people that let's just say it's even women or men. Like, they come off so like confident and a little swaggy. They got their little sauce on the Instagram. But then when you see them in person, I'm like, boy, that is like, where's all that swag going? You know what I mean? Before
exactly.
it used to just be like, you had to you had to like do a substance, you had to drink, or you had to smoke, and then, oh damn, okay, now they got their little swag. Now it's like they don't. That's not even a thing. It's like they have that on the Instagram,
It's
and
like a
it really,
character.
yeah, it's a
It's like
fucking
a play.
avatar.
It's an
It's an
exactly. It's
avatar,
like
bro.
Avatar, bro. It's
Yeah,
crazy, right? I mean,
it
it's like
really is. It's getting to that. What was that movie we were just watching? Ready Player One. It's like the real world or like whatever, but then
yeah,
when they go in that game, they get to look how they won and do all
fuck,
this and that, and that's literally what it feels like. You know what I mean? And that's that's why the and I honestly feel like a lot of people are forced into it
yeah.
because we're gonna go with the wave, right? And then you get somebody like me where I really don't like going with the wave, but it's like fuck, if this is where the marketplace is at, you know what I mean? To get back to the like kind of like the alignment and almost like manifesting and all that.
Yeah.
Do you think it's possible to like just do these practices 369 manifest and all that? Because I even try. I was thinking about this. I was like, man, you know what? I was like, if it's meant to be, and if I really believe it, this and that, I'm gonna just like go the whole other way. Like the market's going this way, this is where the freeway's at.
Yeah.
I'm about to take these side roads and see if I can still get there. Do you think that's like a possibility, or do you think
Yeah.
that's just like a fool's game? Like,
No.
you
I think that's the way you got to do it. It's like we
yeah,
have to look at like you have to have your vision, right? And you got to be very again, you got to be very in tune with what you want to do
uh-huh,
and be like it's deliberate practice every day. It goes deeper than like the waking up at 5:27. Like I do this. I have a chief aim, which we'll talk about maybe at another time.
yeah.
I do.
We're gonna have a workshop after this episode.
I have a 369. So I say this. I say this. These words 3 times in the morning, 6 times at the noon, and 9 times at night.
Mm-hmm.
It's visualization process. So there's this whole routine, right? But that's what you have to do to be successful, without a doubt. Like everybody, visualization is the key to any success. Like athletes use it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say
They close their eyes and they vision themselves making a 3-pointer in their head.
Mhm.
Because if you close your eyes, like right now, you close your eyes and you visualize yourself shooting a 3-pointer 100 times, 100. By the time you actually go out and do it physically, you've already done it so many times in your mind that when you actually go and do it, it's already been done. So you actually make the shot.
Yeah.
It's proven. So like the tools though, I think you can easily become successful if you practice the visualization, if you do what we're talking about
Mm-hmm.
and you apply it and you use these as tools. It's a tool. It's if you use it for its purpose as a tool to help boost what you're doing,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to be more successful than like all this. Because think about like this, all this what we're doing today. It's like MySpace did this 15 years ago. What we're doing today is going to die out, and then something new is going to come up in the next 10 years.
Yeah.
So like whatever is working for people today, it may not. I can't be for certain, but it may not work in the future.
Yeah.
And then whatever platform comes out then you got to work with that. So it's like if you're continuously keeping up with the rat race, trying to learn these new things, like yeah, you might be successful today with Instagram, being an Instagram influencer or whatever it may be. But if you're thinking long term, like then you have to go and do the original practices that were put on earth to do.
Yeah, and have it. I feel like it has to be rooted to something.
It has
You
to
know what I
be.
mean? Like to something real.
It has to be.
Like. I feel like there's a lot of waves and there's a lot of like trendy things happening, and yeah, people are making money off it and doing all that, but like what is it rooted to? You know what I mean? Like especially
Exactly.
when I tell people when they're like, "Oh, I want to do this," and entrepreneur, I want to start this business, that business. I'm like, okay, well, you need to get that clarity word is really big. Like I might even get that shit tatted because for real, like if you're not super clear and you don't feel it, and then you get those, because we have those sayings like, if you could do it for like do something that even if you didn't get paid, you'd like to do it, and then that's it, like that kind of thing.
Yep.
And I think that's really true because um, there's gonna be them hard times when like maybe the money ain't hitting or you're not getting that little attention that you wanted to or this and that, and it's gonna test you. Like, bro, is this really what you want to do? And I think so. That's what I always tell people. Like, don't get too caught up in like the outcome and this and that. Really, how do you feel while you're doing it?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because I think that's what's gonna like help you like weather the storm. You know?
Exactly. You gotta. People today are just chasing, continuously chasing, and I don't blame them, right? Like the economy's fucked. Like you gotta, but at the same time, like, what do you want to do? You know what I mean? Like, and then go for that. But when you tie it along with all this, like chasing your dream, you have to have good people too.
Yeah,
you gotta have you gotta have good people in your corner. Like
that's probably my weakest link.
That's the
right
key.
There.
You gotta have good people, and like what we're talking about before is the way I approach. Like it's very like I have these tiers of friends, or these like this. Like I'm gonna take my family out of the equation, just focus on friends. I think friends are more impactful to your success and growth more so than like your family, because like you can't pick your family. You're born with them, right? Like you kind of just have to accept them and like either cut them out or just deal with them.
Yeah.
From like a friendship level, like I look at it like kind of like a pyramid, right? There's like there's different levels. So on the very top, I think I mentioned, I mentioned my older brother. So I have an older brother, but me and him were always super close. But you take him out now on this one block, this very high, like the main block on top of this pyramid. I have this friend of mine, and Again, we met back in 1989, long ass time ago. I know.
Jeez, I was 2 years old.
I was in the second grade, and we're super close friends from elementary school, middle school, and in high school. In high school, he started hanging out with another group of friends, and I was cool with the whole group. But his name is Kevin Swasilo. Kev always looked out for me, always. Like from elementary school, because like my brother was a grade older than me, and me and Kev were the same grade, so he would always like. I never had issues because like I said, I was a small guy.
Yeah, yeah.
And Kev always took care of me. He always looked out for me, and unfortunately, after high school, he went to the military, and then I went my path, he went his path, and I was always like, "Fuck, what happened to Kev?" Like, he's a great friend, like, because my dad knows him. He's cool with my brother. Recently, he helped my nephew because he owns a dealership, so he helped my nephew. He sold my nephew his first car.
Oh, there you go.
But like we went different paths, but then I eventually found out that he was living out in the East Bay, out in the Antioch area. So we ended up reconnecting, and I saw him several months ago at his dealership, and then I just went to his dealership a couple days ago, and then we sat down, and I explained to him, how meaningful my friendship was, and him always having my back. And I told him, like, if there's anything I can do to help you, because he was asking, we're talking business, and I was telling him some of the stuff I did. And I said, hey, if you were interested in that, I'd be more than happy to help get you started. And then he was like, how much is that going to cost me? I was like, for you, nothing. Because he's my brother. Like, really, like, if you take out, like, remove the DNA, like it's like that inner dynamic, that inner connection we always had. You know what I mean? Like, he just looked out for me. So like, and but I told him, I was like, like, you always looked out for me, and I got to pay it forward. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is because, like, besides that conversation, I was explaining to him my struggles with mental health, and Kev shared a couple things on his end, and it really opened my eyes. Like, oh shit, we didn't see each other. We didn't have like a deep conversation for years, and now we're here, but we're getting aligned.
Yeah, that's
it. And it's like, and it's the more like, so I'm like, it's like, it was like a sign almost, in a way, to go out that day, like on Sunday. I went out Sunday, so it's like I was in a way signaled to go out to see him and talk to him, right? Learn about his thoughts on, like, views on the universe, and I'm not gonna get too deep on that, but like, I'm noticing, like, the people that I'm really connecting with at a higher level, like, we all have this understanding. Like, look at me and you, like, we see each other on occasion, but then when we come together, like, it's like,
so good.
It's always good, right? Because you had the same understanding of, like, the universal, like, how we exist. My friend Kev, others, my Uncle Ray, like, the people I'm coming across, like, we all have this alignment, and it's just like,
so it's like, you can't help but get attracted or get brought back in. It's just like, that's just how it goes. You know what I mean? You always are gonna get put in the same way as if you're on negative shit. You're always gonna have negative shit going on.
Exactly.
And I want to, like, I'm listening to you talking. I want to pull something out of it, because it's like, it reminded me kind of like what I was telling my son a while back. It's like, even just him moving how he was moving back in the day. Like, he never had to. You guys aren't blood related. He didn't have to, like, whatever, if he stuck up for you or looked out for you.
Yeah.
He didn't have to do that.
No.
But it's a testament to, like, when you move through this world and do, like, good, productive shit, like caring, and really act like, I don't want to sound all whatever, but, like, almost act like we're all connected. Like, at that, even at a young age, he's like, man, I don't know you, whatever, but, like, I'm gonna look out for you. I'm connected, because something in him was like, brought that.
Exactly.
And here it is, all these years later, he's getting repaid, and it's not even to carry yourself that way because, oh, like, one day it's gonna come back. Just do it because, like, bro, that's just how we should be moving. You know what I mean? And the more you move that way, the more doors. You ever know anybody that's just like, probably like you? That's probably, honestly, probably a lot of doors open up. Is because you're not, like, moving through the world like, okay, well, I'll do this, but then what you gonna do for me?
Yeah.
You don't have that. You're just like, hey, if we're aligned and we're aligned and we're sinking, it's all good. You're just going off of this good, attractive energy,
Right.
and these things happen to you. And I always try to tell people. That's why I was telling my son, like when he's dealing like with these young girls, he's in that age where they're trying to get at, oh, well, I'm talking to this girl and this girl and this girl. I'm like, bro, be careful the game you're playing because yeah, it might be feeding your ego. You might be getting these little hits of endorphins and all this and that, but you're like affecting people's lives.
Exactly.
The shit you're putting out, the words you're saying, and I know it firsthand. You know what I mean? Like, especially when you get into sex and shit, you're opening these women up. You are doing something. It's not just a wild night, bro. You're shifting things in the universe and woo woo woo. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? God's saying, "Oh, you want to play this game? Boom!
Boom.
All right, now y'all pregnant. Now you attached to her. This and that. Like whatever it is, or you just put out negative shit and shit happens to you. You
Always.
could feel it, bro. I had
Oh,
a
yeah.
conversation with somebody on the phone today, and I was like, it was a like a consultation, and hopefully you don't watch this, but I felt it through the phone. You know what I mean? Everything from the tattoo he wanted to get to his energy. I was like, this guy is not. I'm sorry. I feel bad that he's going through because he even said like things is going. He was one like a reaper. You feel me? And it was like some depressing shit. Like he said things is hella going crazy right now, and it was just like damn. Like I had to remain professional. I knew for a fact, for one, he couldn't afford what he was asking for, so I already knew that it wasn't gonna be a thing. But even just in case, I was like, hey man, I could even come out there to you, because I'm like, bro, you ain't coming up in here with that shit, right? So you
bring
have,
that energy in.
yeah. So you have to have like some discernment and understand like, for whatever reason, whatever's going on in this young man's life, he not moving right. I
Nah.
seen it. I know.
Yeah.
I know when I'm talking to somebody that ain't moving right and they're on some slimy shit, right? I know what happens to get you there, but that also you have to almost be protective of yourself too. But yeah, you just gotta like. I wish I could just tell this young man like, bro, you don't have to move that way. You know what I mean? Like even young
Right.
cats that's getting all these tattoos and they with the shit and doing it. You don't have to do that. You know
No.
what I mean? And before, like we was talking about before, those things they're only working at this level.
Mm-hmm.
Only hood dudes is praying. Oh, that boy with the shit, he a hitter. Don't mess with him, or he got all the women and this and that. When you start leveling up, people look at you like that's just not gonna work. Those rules, you know what I mean?
Right.
It just don't work. Kind of like what we were talking about before when you mentioned you heard about me like getting drunk or whatever,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. Oh,
You
yeah.
feel me? It's the same thing. And I even told you, I was like, yeah, like that is my demon. I'll do that. I'll slip back and fall off track and then I have to like get back on it or whatever. But I definitely realized like those behaviors that I do when I get in that mode, it only works at this level. You know what I mean? Okay, I could get this girl. No, but that shit don't mean nothing when you come up here and you're trying to make big moves and do this and that. Even
Exactly.
so. Yeah, it just reminded me of that because not to go on a big rant, but like that guy Kevin, like he obviously carries himself a certain way, and then you even said he owns a dealership or
He owns a
whatever.
dealership, and
Yeah,
it's
it's like
and
that's
that's the
the
thing.
shit
So
that
it's like,
happens. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like,
it's like and
you
that's what I mean.
feel
It's like
me?
the people that I'm reconnecting with in this sense is like everyone's doing something great, but
Yeah.
that's one thing. Like, what you're saying is like, yeah, I didn't think about that, but he didn't have to. He didn't have to look out for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even as I got older, like in high school, I mean, I always take it back to high school, but like, even though he had his group of friends, like he would see me, and he would like, I would look at him, he would just give me like a nod. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I knew that I was like, and I would nod back like, "Are you good?" It's kind of like
Yeah.
you ever seen a Bronx Tale?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind
Yeah.
of
That's our
like
shit.
Sunny. It was like Sunny and C kind of relationship. Like
Yeah.
it's like Kevin, and he was. I mean, back then he was like he was a very influential person, like kind of like a leader in a sense. And I told him I was like, bro, like you just always led. Like people
Mm-hmm.
just gravitated to what you're doing,
Mm-hmm.
and he had this it factor about him. But
He's probably able to see things in people too.
he can't. He was just a fucking. He's just a great guy, like overall great guy. Like yeah, he could see things. He didn't look out for a lot. I mean, he looked out for his boys, like but then, like I said, I didn't hang out with those guys. I
Yeah.
was cool
Yeah.
with all of them,
Yeah.
but I had another group of friends, but like he would see me from across like the campus, and he would look at me and be like, and I just give him like a nod back, and
Yeah.
Because if anything, if I've had any problem
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm
from kid to
saying.
old,
Yeah. He probably
he just knew like, bro, if anybody was gonna give Mark a problem, like,
yeah, like he's just not the one. Like, don't mess. Like,
don't mess with
I
this
feel
guy.
like people, because I'm kind of like that too. Like, even growing up, I remember I had like cats that would be like mess. I'm like, bro, don't like, don't. You just it's not in you. If it's in you, it's in you, and like, don't mess with that person. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Even with girls, like women, I think a lot of guys. I'm sure a lot of people will hear this and be like, "Oh, that's true," because like when women carry themselves like a certain way, like
Yeah.
promiscuous or just real catty or real spite. I feel like men have this thing that goes off and it's like, oh, okay, she's fair game to do whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when you get a real sweet girl that like she ain't trying to fuck nobody over nothing, it's almost like I've seen this happen. Like that woman almost don't even get attention
Yeah, because like just
because that man
right.
knows he ain't got nothing good to be doing with no woman, but I don't want to bring that on her. You know what I
Right.
mean? That's where you get the
Exactly.
friend zone shit going on. That's my girl. Don't be oh that's a little sis and all that.
Exactly.
It's not because she's not attractive. It's not because it's because he knows deep down that he moves in a way that's not going to be beneficial to her. But he could do that with all these other girls that are not or moving the same way, basically, right?
So what does that tie into though? It ties into energy.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, right? So no matter how you
exactly.
look at it, like if people think it's our like this conversation is weird, like
Yeah.
take a step back.
Yep.
Take a step back. Go on YouTube it. And the 369 theory was really put together by Nikola Tesla.
Okay.
So
I'm
now,
telling you, I read it.
so now
Somewhere
if
in a book.
anybody wants to say this shit's not, whatever you want to believe in, but Nikola Tesla is the one that really brought this forward. I didn't know about it. I had no clue that Nikola Tesla was the one that created the whole 369 theory until, like I said, my Uncle Ray was like, hey, this is, and I was like, holy shit. I've been living this 369 lifestyle, or not even lifestyle, this 369 methodology since I was pretty much a kid, not even knowing. I mean, like throughout the way, just like creating things, but then I've always been like in tune, like very in tune. And then once I figured out what 369 is, that's when I was like, oh, okay, like I got to make sure everything that I do starts aligning to number 9. Like, yeah, the morning time. So like to get back on track with, for a quick second, on like what I do every day, what I would like to see you get on. The 5:27 in the morning wake up, 5:36 out of bed, or 5:27 wake up, 9-minute prayer, 5:36 out, do your meditation, at least for 9 minutes. But then at nighttime, this is where it gets tough, because at nighttime, if it's a Friday night and all your friends or all your boys are out, like, hey, let's go grab a drink, let's go party. Like at 9:59 p.m., I'm going to sleep. So, and that becomes discipline, because now like when I look at it, I'm like, fuck, it's a Friday night, Saturday night, I can be outside chilling with some friends, or I could be very disciplined, stick to this whole path that's been working for me, because now it's embedded in me. Like if I shortcut this, now I'm gonna hear that voice like, Mark, you're going in. So I gotta be like extremely self-disciplined to the times I wake up and the time I go to sleep.
Yeah, it's like we all got like an inner accountability coach in us.
Yes,
you know what I mean. But we be shutting him up or her up a lot.
I used to. Now I don't. I'm like, fuck it, because I've been seeing the results.
How do you think? How much do you think is just of this is like? It's pretty hard to get off track when you're like constantly doing like these little, call them like ticks or tricks or whatever. Like as far as like getting up at a certain time, praying at a certain time. Like when you're conscious of like your mind is always telling you, okay, you got to do this, you got to do that.
Yeah.
It's like constant reminders of like what your energy is supposed to be. You know what I mean? That's kind of where like when people would be like, when I haven't worn in a minute, maybe that's some part of my stuff. But I would wear like all my crystals and stuff.
Yeah,
people are like, man, you think that crystal's gonna do it? And I was like, man, it ain't like I'm just gonna like hold the crystal and something's gonna happen. It's a constant reminder. You know what I mean? It's no difference of somebody wearing like a crucifix. If you wearing that, you know that has some weight to it. Like you have to be moving in a certain way to be wearing that. You know what I mean? And I think that's kind of the same thing. Like, if I'm going to sleep, if I'm doing this, I'm doing that, this is what time I'm on. I'm moving in this way. So it's like a bunch of little reminders. That's kind of how I look at it a little bit.
Yeah, I think for me, I mean, in my situation may be a little different because I do have some help. My wife, she's like, she makes sure that I'm in tune. So
She knows if you in tune, everything we all gonna be guard.
if I'm in tune. So I mean, she wears the crystals now as well. My daughter does,
Mm-hmm.
but we take it off every night. We even bought a bigger flat crystal that we lay our crystals on, and then before we put it on that flat crystal for cleansing, we put it into a bowl and we bang it 9 times.
You do it every night?
Yeah.
Oh shit!
So we bang it 9
so
times.
That's cool when the family's
in
on
it
the
now.
same program.
Yeah. So my wife makes sure, like, she's like, every day she gets up. She gets up before me, but she's like when she wakes up, I'm automatically wake up and I'll just lay there and like, okay, 5:27. Okay, now like I'm out of that like that beta theta stage.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, now I'm fully awake. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, let me pray in bed for 9 minutes. Then 5:36. I don't give a shit if it's freezing cold outside. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't want to get out of bed. It's warm in here. I get up. And then I go to the kitchen, get my glass of water, chug that thing, and then I go do my meditation. But it's consistent, and that's the thing. It's like you got to be like extremely self-disciplined.
Yeah, because there's something to it. Because I watch so many podcasts with like successful people, and they all have like morning ritual and all that type of stuff. So there has to be some validity to it. Like for people that are like, man, what that shit sound like some whatever. If you watch and listen, you listen to athletes, everybody is doing these type of like disciplinary practices or whatever that keep them in line.
Yeah.
So there's something to it,
Definitely is. I mean, it's up to each person, right? Like however they want to do it. It's been working for me.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to quit.
Yeah.
It may, I don't know. It depends on other people. But again, before you even get to doing this, you got to dump the old person.
Yeah.
You got to send yourself consciously move to your ideal self and then start these, because if you try doing all this with like how you were your prior life, it's not going to work. It's not, because
you're going to really give up on it. You're going to be like, because I've had that happen before where like I've tried new things, but I think that, like you said, the new consciousness, I was still addressing it from my old motives, my own ambitions, my own expectations and all that. I was just trying to like, let me use this tool to do all this old shit with. You know what I mean? And it kind of blows up, and then you'll get discouraged, and you'll be like, see, I knew I should be doing my old ways. This new shit don't work, but it's because you're not fully like empty slate, new thing.
You always got to start. People think like it's like you got a glass of water, right? Like if that's your glass of water, and you put red dye in it, you can't carry that glass if you're trying to get into like the blue level or like the yellow level. Like you got to dump that out, put yellow dye in there, and then go to the next chapter, right? People think you just carry the same shit, and you can't. You gotta pretty much cleanse yourself.
Yeah.
And then like the question is like, well, how do you do that? Well, that's for us to know.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to say I don't want to help and give tips to anybody, but it's like I have the young kid who cuts my hair, right? He's like 20 years old. I told him straight out, because he's always asking me things like, and he's like, hey, everything you've been telling me, I've been practicing it, and it's been coming to life. Like, and like when we did our podcast, you and Mac were like, Mark, you changed my life. And then last night, for example, I got a friend of mine. He's in the Philippines. He's one of the top chocolatiers in the Philippines. This guy sent me a message out of nowhere last night. He's like, Mark, you changed my life, man. Like, So the reason why I mentioned that is because like the knowledge that I had acquired over the years, it's like I was telling William, my barber, I was like, look, if I get a haircut, I got to pay for my haircut. If I get a tattoo, I got to pay for my tattoo. If I go to a restaurant, I got to pay for my food. But when people come to me for like advice, how to start a business or something, they expect it for free. You know what I mean? So it's like, sure. I can't just go and like
just pour it all out.
I can't just pour it out. Like if people really want to like understand how to get to the next level, we can get you there. I'm getting myself there still. Like I'm not perfected, but I know what I need to do. But
and you gotta want to have the I guess would you say like the curiosity and just like the wanting you gotta want to be better.
Exactly.
And I think that's
exactly.
If you have, I know there's way more people in the world, but just for math, you got like 100 people. Only, man, I kid you not, probably I would say like 10 or 20 of them % is only are even gonna want to get better. Yep. I'd be surprised when I be talking to people sometimes, and it's like I said, it goes over their head, and they just don't want. They're good. They're fine where they're at, and sometimes I actually envy that because it's a very like peaceful, like they just whatever happens is good. I don't need nothing, and I can what it's definitely a different vibe. And like I said, I don't think it's universal because
No.
that lifestyle or that mentality, I can't. It's almost that I'd probably like kill myself. I don't know how to move that way. So even though
Yeah.
this way is a little more stressful or whatever, it's fun to like figure these things out, to level up and do
Yeah.
that. So that has to be in you. You know what I mean? And I think that's kind of, you know, sometimes you get people that maybe it really ain't in them. They really deep down don't want to change nothing, but they'll be like, let me just sound productive. What's this 369 about? This and that. But you could feel it. You know,
You
you
could
could
feel
feel
it.
who really want to do it and who
You
don't.
could feel it. And the thing is, those people that don't want to change, deep down they want better,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't want to take they don't want to go through the hard work. They don't want to. They don't want to go through it, right? So, like you said, like out of 100 people, 20 people really want to do it, and they'll do it. 80%, it looks like they want to do it, and some people are just like they're just like hippies in a way, right? They're just like they just go with the flow of life, and it works for them.
Yeah.
So now that 80%, you could take 20 other people. Those are the hippies. Those are the ones that just go with life and they're cruising, they're chilling, they're fine.
Yeah.
But then you got the remaining part that they really do want better, but then they intent or they like their subconscious is in tune, so they just go about life getting pushed around.
Yeah.
So these are the people that are like they want better, they talk about wanting better, but then they continuously do stupid shit that like prevents them from getting better. Like, and then this ties back into now, go back to social media. This goes into the people who prefer the likes over actual growth. Like I know people personally, like they complain like, and this is the part like it hurts me because I'm like now I'm taking in the negative shit, you know, and I have to tell my wife like, fuck, I don't want to hear this, but like I know people who are like, I want better, I want a better life, I don't have a savings account, I'm broke, but then like they'll go and buy matching outfits for the whole family for like for like to go to a party just to take an Instagram picture because they want to post it so everyone could be like, oh, you guys are a cute family.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, like, okay, so every party you go to, you're buying all these matching outfits to look cute. I'm like, okay, if you're buying matching outfits for you, your husband, and kids, and whatever to look cute, just so you can get likes, like, rather than doing that, take that $100, put it into like stocks, put it into a savings account. You know what I mean? But it's like everybody just wants the likes, everybody wants the attention.
Yeah.
So it's like, so that's the part. It's like it's so fucked. It's just weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is like it's very much like it's kind of like almost like the urban like scarcity, you know, like a scarcity mindset. Like I don't have this and that, and I don't have the means to make this move or level up and do this and that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna win at this level. We got to talk about that a little bit too. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, I don't want to go through the work of like getting self awareness and getting aligned. That shit is a lot. I know I'm more comfortable doing this. It probably goes back to even like, you know, like primal shit, like how we know that fight or flight shit.
Yeah.
Like I talked about it on the last one. That shit is scary. You know what I mean? And it's hard work. You know, all this like this movement, oh, I'm working on myself, everybody's doing that. That shit is not fun, boy. That shit like looking at yourself in the mirror and having accountability for this and that. It's hard work and it really rattles your body physically, it rattles you like emotionally, spiritually, because you're like, oh, you gotta really, you know, fess up to some shit. And it's the thought of not having to do that no more and just going back. Yeah. It's real sweet. You know what I mean? Because I know, like I was telling, I know I can win at this level. You know what I mean? I know I could go to a bar and go to a club and I can make things happen and attract certain shit. But it's like leveling up it is like an uncomfortable feeling, and a lot of people don't want to do it.
You said it right there. You said it right. You said the word right there. Yeah. If you want to grow in life, you have to become uncomfortable. People love to live in comfort. They love to live with what they know, who they know.
Yeah.
But then again, it's like if you want to grow, if you're the best one in your circle,
that's an issue.
It's an issue, especially if you're all like on the bottom. Yeah. And the thing is, like all the people on the bottom, they all want what people have on the top, but then they don't want to do the work. And really, it's a lot of work. But when you get through it, it's really not a lot of work. You know what I mean? It's it's like swimming. Like at first you jump in, you're gonna fucking choke and swallow some water, but then once you learn how to tread water, start swimming, start doing the backstroke, like then it becomes very easy. Like but the process is always there. But no, again, people don't want the process because they would rather spend their time scrolling on Instagram rather than reading a book.
Mm-hmm.
They would rather, instead of spending $20 on growth, they'd rather spend $20 on a bottle to party.
Yeah.
Everything, anytime if I was to present like these low, like not to degrade any human being, but if I was to go to like a lower tier group of people and say, hey, invest $100 into this, it's too expensive. Oh, I can't. It's too expensive. But then they'll go buy a pair of Jordans.
Yeah.
So it's like, bro, like
I feel like there's a lot of different things at play here. There's like immediate gratification. You know what I mean? My whatever. Let's just put it like $300. $300 for this master class that I'm gonna have to go to class and every weekend and do this and all this work and or $300 and get some shoes and get complimented that night. Go out, get drunk, and do the. I'm getting those hits are coming quick. Like I get all that right now. This stuff, not only, I'm just speaking like generally what would probably go through somebody's mind or just feel how they would feel. Not only is this class or this book or whatever, is it going to take a long time? There's no even guarantee that this is going to work. You know what I mean? Is it something like that? Like I guarantee you if I do this and that and go to and buy this alcohol, I'm going to feel this. That's my brain knows that's for sure happening. Ain't no question. This stuff is no guarantee, and I want to give some people that are kind of fit in this category. I want to give them some grace because especially if they don't see it, you know what I mean. If they don't see, if they're not around people that have done this stuff and have and kind of have like the proof in the pudding is able to show. It's just like, what are these people talking about? Where are these aligned 369? What is they talking about? I don't know what they're saying. What these people. And that right there is a big hurdle to get over too, because you don't gonna want what you don't know. You know what I mean?
It's true, but at the same time, like the way I'm a very selfish person when it comes to this, because the way I look at it is like I came from a broken family. I lived in a one-story house where there's one heater at the end of the hallway, and my dad had to turn it on with a pair of vice grips. Like my mom left. Like I didn't have an easy and it's like I didn't have an easy like. Someone's always had it rough to me. I'm not saying like I had the roughest like upbringing. Like no, by any means far from that. Yeah. I had a blessed upbringing, but at the same time, shit wasn't just handed to me. So if I went to school I went to a public school. You know, like I went to school with just like and the people. The reason I'm saying this is because like a lot of these people reach out to me like, hey Mark, like I got this idea, whatever. But if I can do this, anybody can do it. Like I'm just a regular person, but I decided. At some point, like I have a vision in my mind, like I'm gonna make something big happen for myself and for my family in the future, and I need to take these steps. Meaning, I stopped drinking in 2009. I stopped smoking weed in 2008 because I went on a business trip, had a fucking bad trip from smoking some weed. I'm scratching all that. I need to focus on this, and then from there, I said I started launching products. Failed, had many failures, but I learned along each failure of what I need to do to not have that happen again. But then I started reading books. I started watching YouTube videos. Free resources, bro. You can go to YouTube and watch everything. Quasi's on there. Dr. Pratt, he's on there. But I went to see him there's people that you can. It's free resources. But the thing is everybody they want it, but they don't want to do the work. It really comes down to it's work ethic internally. It's a choice. It's like sacrifice a year, 2 years to have a better future. So, you know what I mean? Like
progress, yeah.
And they're like, that's what people are like, oh shit, like you guys went to Grand Cayman, you guys are going here, you're going there, like your daughter's lucky. I'm like, you could do the same. If you just fucking make a conscious decision to say, I'm done with this life. This life that I live right now sucks. I don't need to be on Instagram. Shut that shit down and just go and go to YouTube and type in self-growth. There's many keywords that you could type in. Just start, like the first book a mentor of mine said, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, go get this book. The very first book I ever bought was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Then the second book I ever bought was How to Win Friends and Influence People. Then from there, I got addicted to reading books. And then reading books became like this like thing, and I was like, fuck. Then I was like, then I started getting mentors like, like Rob Dyrdek, Quasi, all these people. Then I started finding out who are their life coach, who coached them. Okay, whoever coached Rob, it worked for him. Shit, if it could work for him, it could work for me. Found out who coached him. I went and saw Pratt, Dr. Pratt.
Yeah.
See, but the thing is, like I said, I had Dr. Pratt's visits are not fucking cheap. They're very, very expensive.
I can imagine.
But I said, you know what? Shit, it's like I could take X amount of money, put it into this one visit for Dr. Pratt, or I can go on a trip somewhere. But I knew that island's not going to disappear. It's going to be there next year. It's going to be there in 2 years. It's going to be in 3 years. This visit for Pratt, Dr. Pratt, he's getting older. I might not have this opportunity. He's giving me an opportunity to come down, so I'm going to throw this money into seeing him. And I did that, right? But I make these decisions. Like I could take $30 and go buy a new pair of, I can go buy a shirt, or I can go and take $30 and put it into this book. But I make these decisions, and these decisions are paying off, and people are constantly questioning, how did you figure this out? It's like, I'm telling you the reason. I'm telling you how I did it. Now you go and do it, but they still don't want to do it because they don't want like, oh shit, $30 on that book. Well, that $30, like you said, this is a Hennessy bottle. This is a.
Was there a moment back in? Let's take it back to like the like you were saying, like the drinking and smoking stage, like before.
Yep.
Before you did any products, anything, what was there like a shift, or did something happen to be like, this is what I'm gonna do. I am gonna look into this. I'm gonna get a book, or you know what I mean? Or was this like some like ever since you was a kid, you were like trying to make products and come up with invention? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like how did that start to cultivate? You know what I mean? Because like I said, it's once you read a book and you're like, oh man, I got some some insight on how to influence people, and I'm actually applying it. Oh shit, I influenced it, or I met a friend. Then it's like, okay, you get some momentum. But what was that first thing that was like turned it on a little bit? Was it an influence? Was it a fear of becoming like the people around you or something? Because that's kind of like where I get my stuff from.
Yeah, so there's different stages here, and I'll touch up on all of them. So it was being an inventor. Like this movie came out back in the day called Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Oh yeah.
Where he shrunk the kids, right? I was like, shit, I want to make a machine to shrink some kids. So I started trying to build a little machine. And then I remember one day I was watching this cartoon, Dennis the Menace. And I remember like it's a cartoon, but they built a fighter jet. And I was like, oh shit, I could build a fighter jet. So I went in my garage and tried to figure out how to build, like, didn't get remotely close, but in my mind, I started really thinking how to build it. And I remember when Home Alone came out, Macaulay Culkin. I remember talking about Macaulay Culkin. It was all over the news, and they talked about how like he made millions of dollars off his movie. I clearly remember walking down my grandma's hallway in front of the bathroom, and I was like, I'm gonna make millions. In my mind, I was like in third grade. I was like, I'm gonna be a millionaire. That's it. And after that, I said, fuck it. Like, and I'm a kid. I was like, but millions just always stuck in my mind. Like, but now I don't chase the money. I look at the things that the money can bring. Like I envision myself like on this beach. I envision myself here, doing these things that bring me towards that. So I don't no longer chase the money. I'm looking at like the things that lead me to that, which is another, we'll get to that. But along the way, I found people. So like I was talking to my friend Jason, my friend Jay Wong, right? He got me into skateboarding, and these are the friends I hold high regard to. So, well, first we have Kevin, who looked out for me. If Kevin didn't exist, then I would have been like, I might have went down a different path because he kept me straight throughout my younger years. He was by my side. He kept me straight. And then when I got to high school, I met my friend Jason. He came from Miami. So my friend Jay got me into skateboarding. Skateboarding got me into that creativity, that personal creativity where I can start like, oh shit, like it's okay to be different. It's okay to do something that not everybody else is doing. Because back then, nobody, like skaters were like outcast. It wasn't cool. Like, so I was like, okay, now I can do something and bring this new, like I could design and do this. So skateboarding helped me. And then, I was doing the car thing, learned and met some people there. So like it's a collective of having that, I don't know, like that inner belief way back in the day that I'm going to make it, having that drive for wanting to invent, and then having the right people guide me through. So okay, so I had Kevin throughout like my younger years, and Jason, and then when I launched one of my brands back in the early 2000s, I had my friend Harris in Hawaii, who was a professional MMA fighter. He's the one that opened up doors for me to get into the MMA industry. And without him, and because I built that brand, my design skills got better, my networking got better, the way I do business got better. So like these friends helped me collectively help me, and it was through those efforts combined with my inner desire for success, like I'm gonna do it. Like I have no choice. And then on top of that, like I'm not gonna have like a I'm not gonna have a broken family. You know what I mean? Like so it's like taking it's like a combination of everything, throw it into like a cup and then mixing it up, and then like this is what you get out of it. It's like this continuous, like what I have is not even like it's almost like not even an obsession. It's like just like a burning desire to like make it happen. Burning desire, but not trying. Again, I'm not even trying hard. Like I gave up on like trying hard, and I just let things just like play out. But I know it's working because how in tune I am with the universe.
Yeah, and how much is like identity play into this? Because I think that's what a lot of it is like I know for me, I take on it like this. I don't know. From a very young age, I had that identity. Like there was no option to be just whatever.
Right?
You know what I'm saying? Like I can't just like whatever. Like even just walking in the room, I'm not just gonna be like unseen. I have to be succeeding at something.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Whatever it is. You know what I mean? And I think that those things kind of get sunk in your brain, depending on whatever your childhood was. You know what I mean? Whether it's like I was the only boy for a while, you know what I mean, single mother household, to where like from a very young age I was like, even I felt like I was the man of the house. You know what I mean? So I felt like I was like, okay, you gotta do what you gotta do. You know what I mean? Like even from a young age, I always wanted to like work. I moved out not super early, but like I moved out, when I felt that I needed to, and that kind. It was like there was no option. You know what I mean? Because you identify with that thing, and I think it's just very interesting how like life puts you in situations, and it's like it's up to you how to react to them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like somebody like you said, you watch those movies. We like a lot of people watch those movies, but you internalize them and took them that way.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think life is so fragile on how we act as kids. You know what I mean? I remember watching like Blood In, Blood Out, and all them gangster movies.
I watched the same shit.
Going to sleep with a little cap gun in my fucking sock and shit, thinking, under my pillow, oh mom, this is to protect us, this and that, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like what, again, like that voice or that I don't know. I just call it a gift, like the knowing of like, well, I'm not actually gonna continue on that vibe. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna grow up and do real guns and do this because I see what's going on around me. And that's why I was saying it's more. I don't want to say it's fear based, but it's just an awareness of like I see people that do this, and this what happens to them. You know what I mean? I see this, whatever. I watched this prison documentary, and these guys in here regretting that they did this and that. So why would I go do that and learn? Like the ability to learn from other people's stuff and be aware. And I think that's, I don't know, man. It's just like sometimes it's really sad because I know we all do that. We see these people that are like crazy talented or whatever, but then the influences they have around them, they're like gassing up all this negative ways of moving and shit. And it's just like, damn, if this person if they only knew to like listen to their inner voice, you feel me? Or they only knew to like, they didn't have to be this way. I don't know. It's something I struggle with, man. I don't know if you've ever been around like parents that are like instilling certain things in their kids where I'm like, fuck, how is this kid even gonna make it to 15 with this parent? Like this parent is, I talked to this lady that worked at she worked with kids and stuff. She was explaining these stories, and basically it boiled down to the kids when they go to school, that is their escape because their home life is just, you have these people that are inputting like, whatever, go to school and you got to whoop his ass, or fuck school, you need to get a job and have him pay this rent. That's like real thing. How do you, I don't know, how do you combat that? You know what I'm saying?
that's a tough one.
It is tough.
I mean, so you're gonna have the parents. So I can see it both ways, right? You're gonna have parents that are on that level of like the struggle parent that's make it hard for their kids to succeed.
Yeah.
But then you're gonna have those parents that are like extremely hard on their kids, like you're gonna go to school and I want you to become a nurse because that's what it's like. The parents are like living through their kids in a way, and then the kids also struggle. It's not a bad struggle like the other kind of parent, but it's still a mentally. It mentally drains the kids on that side as well.
It's like you got the nurse kid will have so much pressure. She grows up and she is a nurse and she fucking ODs on scripts because she's so depressed. But
exactly.
the other one grows up and becomes a crackhead because her mom was a crackhead. It's like,
or you got the kid is like who goes through like the struggle, ends up becoming fucking super successful because like he just isn't. So I think
it's tricky, man.
It's tricky, but I think it really boils down to like at some point it has to come down to the individual. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like every person at some point has to figure this shit out. Like, what do you want to do? Do you could at some point in life you had the option to either go left or right. You can stay at this level or you can become better. And if you decide like you want to stay here and float down here, then I get what you're saying, but
it's a tough luck. And you know what I do to kind of rationalize that in my mind, or at least like live with it, is literally like that's a big motivation for even doing this show. Like, because I don't have no control over that. We ain't got control over shit, really, but I definitely don't have no control over those kids. But what I can do is decide to identify myself as somebody that moves with more of the positivity. By having people on here talking about these things and sharing stories and hopefully a kid hearing some stuff and learning from it by basically moving through the world like a Kevin. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's kind of all we can do. That's the best we can do is just try to move through and be as positive as possible to kind of slowly start weeding out those mindsets of the toxic parent or the toxic way of living. Like, and making it not cool to move that way. You know what I mean? That's the best thing I could, and that's even with the social media, putting out this type of stuff. You know what I mean? That's the only thing I could think of to do because you don't have no control. I can't force nobody to do nothing. This is like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like,
I get it. It's interesting. You know what I mean? Like all the way through, there's just so much, man. I mean.
You can just give as many tools. What is it like? You can lead the horse to the river, can't make him drink or something. That's kind of how I look at these type of things. Like we can put out as much as we want. It's just are you gonna take it? You're gonna try to implement it? You're gonna try to apply it or not? At least we tried. Like that's
all we could do.
And that's what it is.
And to that point too, like one thing that I always say is like an analogy for like how I like it is like. Everybody wants to live in a house, but they don't want to help build it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you got to have people that are like, they want to build with you, and that ties into, and that's the hard part is finding that group, it's finding, and this comes down to like the friends that we're talking about, finding those right people. And like, it's very, that's another conversation. It's like the friendships that we accumulate over the years and getting the right people in your corner. You're going to think that you had the right people in your corner only to find out that they were not. And I know I ran through that. Mostly everybody I've talked to has always had some kind of friend that they thought was a friend. And they're like, well, turns out so it's just, you got to be very mindful. Like you have to be, it's like, like not just me, but I think anybody, when you get to a certain level, like you have to kind of operate from not just like like what I was telling you earlier, like I operate now from like my ideal self every single day. It's like what Quasi was saying, you got to kind of see yourself from a like third person, but you got to do that with everything. You got to be very mindful of who you interact with. Like I'm mindful, like when I open the cabinet, like, okay, let's not grab that. Let's eat this instead because it's more. So it's like overly like, yeah, I eat some bad shit still. Like I'll get some Taco Bell here and there.
Yeah.
But like I'm more mindful now because of like the coaches of like how to do things. And I think everybody should, if they want, not saying should, if they want to get to another level, it takes a lot of work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's good to see like you doing it, and that's the reason why like me and you stay in touch. It's the reason why I have a very like I know a lot of people, and I'm cool with a lot of people, and I respect a lot of people, and I love to see everyone's wins. But I have a very, very, very small, tight knit group of people that I really like, truly want to be in touch with, like with intention. And those people that are in that group, we all are aligned in this aspect of like just universal alignment. Because you have to be, man. Otherwise, like.
And I think that's kind of the hard part for a lot of people. They don't want to go through that uncomfortableness of like weeding people out. Oh man, they're gonna make you think I'm this and that. But I watched something and it made a good point. He was like, just do you, do what feels right, do that, and that other shit will take care of itself. They're gonna weed themselves out because they're gonna be uncomfortable when they're around you, you know, and they're just gonna like whatever. You just have to let that. That's almost another aspect of like not trying, like just let it be. I know I'm doing this, you know. Just being okay with that, you know. And I think, you know, like I said again, like this is why I want to talk about this stuff so people are like, it's almost like, you know how like they say, you know how like if you ever heard a song on the radio, or shit, I ain't listened to the radio in years, but how we, even if it wasn't a good song, you play it so much that it gets, you know, you start believing it or whatever. And I think what my goal is with a lot of the stuff I'm doing now is like, let's keep talking about this because enough positivity shit, enough alignment talk and all that. Some of y'all ain't gonna have no choice but to hear it. You know what I mean? To some level. You know what I mean? So that's kind of like the tactic that I'm trying to use, but I'm just trying to use it on more positive instead of what we're used to usually seeing, which is a lot of whatever programming or trying to like monetize this and that. It's just move through the world better. You know what I mean? You're gonna get better. You know.
And that comes into bearing that into the subconscious, you know. Like I'm not gonna lie, there's some days I wake up, I'm like, why the fuck do I have, like the other day, for example, I woke up and I had this song. Remember that song back in the 80s, like Time After Time?
Time after time. I have to hear it. I'm hella bad with names.
I'm like, why do I have? Sometimes I have like the weirdest songs that I'm like, why is this song stuck in my head? And I tell my wife, and I'll start humming it. I'm like,
that's crazy.
And then she's like, what the fuck? And I'm like, so you know, but it's like I think it comes from that being a kid, being in the car with my parents. Like these songs get stuck in my head, and like as time goes by, it's like your subconscious already has it's buried deep in. So like you just things start kind of popping up, you know. So I mean, that's.
What do you think about signs? Like do you like I mean, obviously, like you had a lot of synchronicities of like going back full circle, meeting with people and stuff. Like, what's your take on that? Is like things happening and just like following them and how to identify signs and following your gut and stuff like that.
Yeah, no. If like, don't get me wrong. Like I was saying, like I have my let's look at the tiers, right? So if you look at like so. We take Kev, my friend Kevin, right? Kevin is gonna have this like permanent spot like on the top part of this pyramid of mine because he looked out for me like a brother. So he's like on this category of his own. And under that we have Jay, because he put me on this path of he gave me an opportunity. Then we have Harris, who gave me an opportunity. And under that, you know, then over the years I met some other great people. Not all of them stuck, right? So like it's like there's different. There's different like
seasons or something.
There's different, not seasons. There's different different segments, I guess, right? So like I'm looking at it from this angle of well, fuck, this is gonna get deep now if I think about it. Like I'm trying to think about it.
Yeah, that's good. That's what Beneath the Ink is about.
This gets deep, man. Because like I'm thinking like, because like over the years, right? It's not by importance. It's not like saying, okay, well, like because Kev looked out for me in my younger years when I was pretty much didn't have anybody, right? He kind of stepped in as like that secondary brother. But then I had like Jay was there to give me an opportunity, and Harris gave me an opportunity. Then like we connected, and you're giving me an opportunity. It's this fuck, this is gonna get this. I'm thinking like this is gonna take me like this is gonna become deep, man.
Yeah, like that's what I want.
A real deep conversation.
Yeah, for sure.
So, like the signs that I look at is like, I don't see my close, like these are my close friends, You know, like you live here, Jay is on the other side of the bay, Harris is in Hawaii, Kev's out there. Like my closest friends that I hold dear, I don't see them often. And it sucks, right? It's kind of sad. Like you would think like, oh shit, these are your closest friends. Like these are people that you hold high regard to. Why don't you see them often? It's because like if we were to all collectively get together and stick with each other, like it's like we're not doing our job as human beings what we're supposed to be doing on earth. Like I feel like, you know, like I'm here, I need to do my part, you're doing your part, you know, Kev's doing his part, my other Jay's doing, like we're all doing our thing, but we come back, like I mean I see everybody, like I'm like my hub. I collect energy from you, I collect energy from Kev, from, you know, all my like from Jay, and I bring it together. But you know, like I look for those signs, and that's what brings me back to them, right? Like that's what brings me back is like I said, like they're like buried treasure. It's like I have these friends that are buried. They're not buried like I don't put dirt on them and like shit on them. Like no, like those are my friends I hold close, like high regard to. And like now I'm coming back, like, and we're meant to meet at this time. So like whatever sign it was from the universe, like if that's what you're meaning by sign, then that's what I mean. Like why on Sunday did I drive out to Kev shop in Oakley? I mean, I went that direction for another purpose. When I hit the exit, I was like, let me hit him up because he texted me his number like the week before. So let me hit him up. And I went to see him, and we sat down for like over an hour just talking. And then we caught up, and I'm like, oh shit! It's like, so we started off as kids, went pretty much around the world because he was in the military, literally around the world. He went to Iraq. I'm traveling around the world on this side. We literally went all the way across the globe to meet back at home. You know what I mean? So like, there's a sign there. And then look at how like we connected. You know what I mean? Like we met like shit. We met back in 2000.
That was all super fluke. You know what I mean?
That was a fluke, but that's, do you know how many years ago that was already? 2016.
Yeah.
So that was fucking 10 years ago, almost like.
Bro, the things that had to go into motion. I mean, this is for everything. The things that had to go into motion for things that happen, and when you really stop and think, is amazing.
It is.
Like the
it's
fact
crazy.
that. Literally, this I'm gonna break it down real quick. The fact that like, so I wasn't raised. My dad wasn't there. He didn't raise me.
Yeah.
I've gotten back in contact, or we met that side of family. I think I was like late junior high, early high school. Got in contact with my cousin on that side of the family. Years later, like Damien goes out with my cousin.
Oh shit.
That's where I met Damien. Like they haven't been together forever. But I still kept in contact with Damon. I rented out that room to Damien.
Tat shop, right?
You know what I mean? Yeah. And then that's where I guess you reached out to him. You guys did your business, and then that's where I met you. But like thinking all that stuff.
That's what I'm saying.
Like the fact that like just my dad and meeting my family and meeting my cousin, it's like all that stuff. And I think that's what I like to try to remember. And I think that's going to sum up this big point of like not trying too hard. There's no way you can make those type of plans and map that shit out like that. No way. Like that's why again, like you get the clarity on what you want, the vision. You put effort, but you're not super stringent on how it's gonna happen because that's how it happens with all those things. You know what I mean? It's not I do this and do like. Like that is evidence right there that we ain't got control of all this like that. You know what I mean?
I mean, think about this, like from your angle, right? Like, okay, you came from a broken family. I did too, right? Like, you could have went any other path. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, you could have chosen to do whatever you wanted to do. You didn't have to have this mindset. You already had this mind. You came to the table through your life with this mindset of like understanding our existence. Same with me. We just somehow clicked because we both on that same wavelength of alignment. Same thing with others like that are close in my life. Like we all have the same understanding. So it's the craziest thing. And like I wish like if more people in the world could experience this. Like
that's what we're here for,
bro.
Man.
If more people in the world could experience this, like they could really experience like what we experience. Yeah. It's not take out just remove like the projects and the tattoos and the products and all that. Just if people can get just an understanding of why they are here on Earth, their purpose, see it from that, we will not have wars. We will not have problems. There will be no like one thing I always say is people are like, I see people like walk around with like proud to be this culture, right? Like I'm proud to be Mexican. I'm proud to be Hawaiian. I'm proud to be Filipino. I'm proud to be whatever. We wouldn't have any of that, right? Because we'd all operate as one unit, as just human beings. Yeah. But then to that point, I'm like, when people talk about like I'm proud to be Hawaiian. I'm proud to be Filipino. I'm proud to be Mexican. I'm like, how? Like, how is that possible? How are you proud to be? Hawaiian, for example? Being proud is through an achievement.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I know where you were going with that.
Like,
yeah.
You're like, or I'm proud to be Japanese or whatever it is. You can't be proud because you didn't achieve being born what you were.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, you can say I'm grateful.
Yeah.
I'm grateful to be this what I am, but you know what I mean? So it's like
words are very important, boy.
So, but like we would remove all this, right? If people could just understand like their existence of just being a human being, pretty much just be born, figure out like what your purpose is, and go and kill it, and then do that, right? Like it's not success. Like my vision for success is no longer money. It's time. Like how much it's time seeing like my daughter, being with her, being with my wife, taking them and traveling the world. Like that's my success. Some other person's success might be like the world's greatest teacher, might be the world's best doctor, might be the best barista, like coffee maker at Starbucks, like whatever it is. Like find your purpose and go and do that.
Yeah.
But again, like people are just here and like, and I don't think it's their fault. I think they're raised by their parents because their parents were probably.
Yeah.
I know for a fact if everyone's fucked, that means their parents taught them wrong. Their parents just told them get a job. Just get a job, right? Go get a job and you need to make money. Because that's what their parents' mentality. But so their kids are never taught like find your life, find your purpose, and go after that purpose.
Yeah, I think it's getting better. I think it's getting like with more examples of people like not going the traditional route or not being a cog in the wheel, and kids seeing like, whoa, this person does this or whatever. This person twitches video games and makes so much money.
Exactly,
does what it, it's starting to get more. One more point before we get off, I wanted to talk about like since we're talking about like life paths and careers and stuff, like what do you think about or like the importance basically I just want to show like the importance of like going in one direction, you thinking, okay, this is my path, and but still having the flexibility of being like, oh, actually I can deviate. You know what I mean? Like for instance, for me, I got into tattooing off of pure like financials, like pure like, oh, boy, that person drew that on you and you paid them what? I could do better than that. Like it was very like, man, I could draw. Like let me do this shit. That never did I think I was be tattooing, right?
Oh shit! Sorry, my wife.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good.
What the fuck does she want?
And
sorry, let me just call her. I'm sorry. Is that cool if I just call her?
Yeah. It's all good.
She's like,
I told her my hip over here killing me anyway.
Hello. Hello. You're calling me. I'm in the middle of recording a podcast right now. Yeah, we're recording right now, and like you're alerting my phone. All right. Damn. See, that's a negative. That's a negative when you get married.
No, that's what's up though, and that's authentic, man. We keep it in. But real talk. What I was gonna say was like, okay, so I got into tattooing for that. I literally never like I didn't think I'd be doing this. You know what I mean? That's my point. Is like you'll get into something for one reason, one motivation, and you think, oh, this is gonna be it. But having the flexibility or just the openness to be like start or to even to sit back and be like, what do I actually like in doing this? And then it's like my answer was like, man, I actually like connecting with the people. I like talking to the people and hearing stories and like collecting data and being able to move through the world, learning how to move through the world. And then that told me, well, shit, man, if I like talking to people, why don't I just like do a little show? Like, and you know what I mean? Like your path is going to go different ways, you know what I mean? And don't get stuck. Because I honestly think the universe or whatever is telling me like, bro, it's time for you to like get, start this new chapter. Like you collected or you learned so much, you got so many acquired so many tools, just like you were saying. You read this book and you had so many failures with the inventions, but then you learned and it's you have to be open and knowing that there's a time to switch your path and go to the next journey. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's just really important. I feel like some people, um, they just keep, kind of stay on that one path. You know what I mean? Where sometimes there's something so much more waiting for you. You know what I mean? Just on that other road or whatever. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I'm trying to say.
Yep. So
Yeah.
that ties back into what we talked about earlier, is that comfort level.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a doctor in New York. I forgot his name, but he's a in the daytime he's a physician. At nighttime he's a high-end chef.
Oh shit.
To me that's dope,
That
right?
is
Like
dope.
when people have the ability to like get out of the comfort zone and really, so that comes down to like getting out of your comfort zone and really finding out what it is you want to do. And there's something called ikigai, Ikigai.
Mm.
Google it, YouTube it. There's a video on YouTube that explains how to build your ikigai. Essentially, you draw 4 circles, and whatever ends up in the middle, that's pretty much like your purpose, right? That's a form, human design, life path number. You could do all that, but really, I think ikigai is probably the best format because you can really put on paper and identify really what it is your purpose is.
Mm-hmm.
I think people don't do that because they're comfortable. They're comfortable, and like what Quasi said, in their subconscious, they never told themselves that they're worthy to do more.
Mm-hmm.
They have to be worthy. So if you look at my phone, I have a script on my phone that says, from the third person, Mark Taniguchi makes blank, 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 X amount doing, so it says Mark Taniguchi makes X amount of money serving others through his products and services that brings joy, happiness, and success to others. Money and happiness comes easily, frequently, and abundantly when Mark is serving others. I repeat that 3 times in the morning, 6 times in the afternoon, and 9 times at night.
Very like definitive, like very explained, like very specific.
You got to be very specific, but you got to be very uncomfortable. You got to be willing. Again, people don't want to get out of that comfort zone because they're like, oh, you know what? I've been working at this hospital for 15 years. I'm going to stick with this. And this right here is the part that kills me. People are like, you know what? Like Mark, and I talked to a dude. I'm not going to say his name on camera. I talked to somebody recently, and
because I ain't trying to edit nothing.
He was like, hey bro, I got this job. It's a union job. When I retire, I'm gonna make X amount of money, and then I'm gonna go and live my life. I'm like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're telling me all these things you want to do, but you got this union job, so you're just gonna work at that for the next 20. You said 20 years, 25 years. I'm like, first of all, 2 questions. How do you even know you're gonna be alive then?
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, when you get that, when you become retired, you're not gonna be able to go snowboard, surf, and do all the things you want to do today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're gonna want to chill, like you're gonna be older, like.
Yeah.
So I'm like, people have to you have to really sit back and like really figure out like, do I really want this, or am I just like, are you just having a conversation with me because you know you're talking to me? Like, let me go blow smoke up Mark's ass and tell him this is what I really want. This is like I want to do this, but reality you're comfortable doing this.
Yeah.
I'm not saying like this life that it's not easy. There's mental health issues that I've struggled with that I've been very open about.
I think if you're doing this type of stuff and you ain't got at least a little bit of mental health struggle, you ain't doing
Oh no,
right.
I went through the deep. I was talking to Kev about the other day.
Yeah.
And I told you I thought I was living in a snow globe for for a minute. I was wondering why people that live in Australia why aren't they upside down, and I put me down a rabbit hole. All I did for 6 months straight really was at home analyzing like why are people upside down? And that's when I came across this whole like flat Earth concept. I'm like, holy shit!
That's a lot of.
I looked into that, and that put me down a hole. Like, do we like? And I'm like, wait, we're just floating in this universe. Like, what's under it? So I got deep in that shit. Like, and I had to go to therapy for this shit. The psychologist even told me like, do you think deep? And this ties into 369, right? Like that actually saved me because now I had an understanding like my existence. So that's another conversation. But to your point of like, people need to get if you really want to make it, you can pivot. You can do whatever you want to do. anything. If you're 15 years into your career and it sucks, you can easily leave that and go and do whatever it is you want. You know what I mean? Like if you're working at the hospital as a nurse, like that doctor, he's a doctor. He's like, but my true passion is cooking. Well, on his side time, rather than going out and dicking around, he started cooking food, and then he got better and opened up a restaurant.
Yeah.
If you're a nurse and you hate nursing, but you want to be your true passion is baking cakes, well, then on your free time, start baking cakes a little bit. Start selling some here and there, get it out, and then eventually you could hit that. Then once you go that path, and you become very disciplined of what you want, and you put it out in the universe to say, this is what I'm going to do. Fuck it, I'm going straight for this. At some point, the universe is going to work for you. Yeah. It's like it has to. It's like it's just it will.
There's no
ifs,
no
ands. There's no question. Yeah. But people just are so scared to live out. They're like, oh no, like I don't want to do it. Like I want to play it safe, and then I'm gonna just retire. So I'm like, okay, well then don't complain to me. You know what I mean?
It's literally like I think of like that. Was it the Croods? Like the that's probably what the meaning of the movie, the fucking caveman.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't go out the cave, this and that. That's literally what I think, and that's the majority of the world is like the dad. You feel me? And the girl that wants to go out and see the fire and all this and that. That's some people are just born with that intuition. You know what I mean? Of wanting or that ambition of wanting to go and do that. But I just think it's always funny when I just see people that something that takes such a big part of their life, but then they put the least amount of effort into it. Mm-hmm. You know, whatever, even if it's like our body. We have to live with this body till the day you die.
Right.
But the idea of like whatever, taking 2 days out of your life to like research like dietitian stuff or health practices or whatever, that's like not even a thought. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying, man.
You know what I mean? Or just like the career the career that you're about to spend so many hours doing, like if this person is going to retire doing that job, you literally could see an ad and be like, oh, they make so much hour. Cool. I'm going to sign that up. I'm going to sign up and do that. And just stay there for all those years and not do no research, not do no comparison or nothing with this thing that you're going to spend a majority of your life doing. Even the partners thing with your partner.
That's
you just she look good. She got a fat ass. She make me do this. Fuck it, I like that one. Bro, you really about to, you didn't do no filtering, no questioning, just no work in something that you got to wake up to next to every day, something that you got to make sure you're home, you got to answer the phone, you know what I mean? Like, you have to put effort into some shit that has such a big impact on your life, bro. And I think that's just...
Who you marry is
that's a big one.
Who you marry is your biggest investment ever. I'm thankful to
a lot of people say that.
My wife, I got very lucky, very fucking lucky. We've been together for 18 years. I got very, very lucky at a young age. I met her at 23. She was 22, but I got very lucky because like she, ever since we're young, dude, like she could have been like, okay, like we're serious, we got married, now we have a kid. Go get a job, be comfortable, just like do the regular bullshit, But she's like, no, continue doing what you want to do. Yeah. She never like just said just do the regular shit. She's like, continue doing whatever you want to do. With my mental health struggles, if I had to fly somewhere, like
for business or something.
Yeah, like if I had to go somewhere for business, like I have this, I have this mental health thing that I'm working on overcoming. Called agoraphobia. So it's hard for me to go somewhere by myself. So like, but what she would do is she would take the next damn flight and be down there, and then she would meet me. We'll fly back, like literally, she would fly down just to support me, and then fly right back home that same day.
Yeah, that's what you call a ride or die. Like a fly or die.
She like like right now. I mean, she's like, I'm just checking on you because I want to make sure you're okay. Like. I'm like, I'm fine. I'm recording a podcast right now, but you know what I mean? Like, and I'm helping her improve. Like, she's like, today she texts me. She's like, I had this idea, but like she's reading books now. She's not spending time on Instagram, like scrolling. She got heavy into reading books, like not business books, but she's like reading. Sometimes she's read like a couple business books that I'm like, oh shit, you actually read that? Yeah. But she's reading. She's spending more time reading. She's like the greatest mom. She takes my daughter to ballet, Girl Scouts. She takes all the Girl Scout trips she goes to. and it helps me because she gives me more time to do what I need to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, dude, I got super lucky,
Yeah.
and
You
but
gotta have that partner, man. Partner.
you have to. But a lot of other people, unfortunately, married the wrong person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And at first, you're like, oh, like they get caught up in the whole like candy cane sugar stages. It's like, oh, everything's great, but then like when shit gets real,
Yeah.
they find out quick, like, oh, this person is not the one for me. And the next thing you know, it's like, fuck, you know,
Yeah.
here we
Yeah.
go. And then it's like, what are you gonna do now? You know, now you got multiple kids deep in,
Oh,
you know,
man.
and they're like, then that's where it gets like,
Yeah.
then it's again, it's those people that live in that comfortable life, right?
Yeah.
For some
Yeah.
reason, I don't know why, because like the people that are like, well, maybe because like Jeff Bezos type people, they can afford to do that. They can afford to like
Yeah.
divorce this
Yeah.
person, give her a couple billion, and like I'm on to the next one, right? Like people down below, they don't have that financial luxury to do that, but they
Mhm.
can still, they choose to stay in that fucked up relationship. They're like, you know what? Oh, this shit sucks, but I've been with him or her for so long, like I'm just gonna ride this shit out. Just like the job,
Yeah.
right? I've been in
Yeah.
this job for so long, it sucks, but I'm gonna ride this shit out.
Yeah.
But I'm like, for what? You're unhappy? You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
yeah. I think a lot of it too is just like when you're, it's just such a norm that
yeah,
it's like you don't see no problem with it. You know what I mean? Like them people, places, and things, your surroundings, that shit is real. It's just like anything. Like when you're in neighborhoods where like everybody doing drugs or like everybody's shooting each other. It's like, when you hear people get shot or that this and that, it's like it's not a thing. There's no question about it. You know what I mean? It just don't hit you the same. You get that desensitization shit, is that shit is real. You know what I mean? Like even when we're here, this not the best area. I be watching. I'm like, damn, so and so got shot. I just like go to the next thing. It's like not even a
it's
thing.
not,
You know
you
what I
know what?
mean?
And that matters a lot, especially when you have a family. And I don't know how much more time we have on this, but if we're gonna wrap it up, I would. This is a key thing,
Uh,
especially if you have a family. If you have a family,
mm,
it's true. Uh, from the day a kid's born until they're 7 years old, that's when their brain is really formalized. So whatever it is your kid picks up. So if your
mm-hmm,
kid picks up like hearing their parents talk about struggling,
mm-hmm,
going through problems, the kid from age 0, from birth to 7, that formulates your subconscious mind.
yeah,
So if a kid is around that from birth to 7, hearing about problems, seeing problems, being in a struggle, hearing about a struggle, parents talking about being broke, parents, like fighting, the
mm-hmm,
kid's gonna grow up carrying those
yeah,
things. So that's why my daughter just turned 8, but since she was little, before she goes to sleep at night, I say the same thing to her. I always ask her, who's the cutest, who's the smartest, who's the funniest, who's the friendliest. Then the last thing I ask her is like, what are you gonna be when you get bigger? She says successful. So
mm,
now I know for a fact in her subconscious mind, it's buried in there that when
yeah,
she gets bigger, she's gonna be successful. I don't know. In her world, she wants to be an artist, be a
mm-hmm,
successful. She's gonna be a successful artist. Whatever it is she decides she's gonna do,
mm-hmm,
she's gonna do that. But we made sure that we embedded that into her mind, and I
yeah,
thank the universe that I learned that method, and
yeah,
that I was taught that whatever your kids pick up on from birth to age 7, that's pretty much gonna be their outcome.
yeah.
So for anybody, any parents that are gonna come across this, make sure
Just
if your
beat
kid is
that
under
in.
7,
Yeah,
do not talk about if you're struggling. Do not. I mean, like your kids are probably going to see it, but you got to do something to make it better for your kids.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I believe that it's super evident. You know what I mean? I think that's what you see even more evidence of, like even like the generational curses and stuff. You see
Right.
violence in the household, and then you grow up now you beating on your wife. It's just this. It's a very much a vibe of this is what we do. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Just like successful families, this is what we do.
Yeah.
We grow, we good up, we start a business, we fucking win, we crush it. This is what the whatever. We're the Hendersons. We do this what we do. We buy businesses and flip them. This is just the vibe of the family.
Yeah.
And there's something to that. There's like a own little tribalism in that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think I definitely second that. Like, yeah, just instill good affirmations in your kids, you know what I mean? And just be their cheerleader and let them know that like this is what we do.
That's
You
it.
know what I mean? Yeah.
That's it.
That's good, man. That's good. We'll sum it up with that.
Let's
this
wrap
is
it
what
up.
we do.
That's
And
it.
that's what
That's
we
it.
do.
Great conversation.
For
I appreciate
sure,
this one.
Ray,
This is
for
fun.
sure.
This is fun.
Appreciate it. My hip usually tells me when it's over.
It's over.
My fucking hip, you killing me. Nice.
How do we
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate you,
How do we
brother.
turn these off? We just let them go?
Yeah. It's good. I'm gonna turn it over.
This magnet is fucking powerful.